Walk in his ways, impact voice. Walk in his ways, impact voice. Walk in his ways, impact. Walk in his ways. Tune in to get your mind right. Tune in and let your soul glow. We already hit the top charts, so if you're really ready, let's go. Walk in his ways, impact voice. Walk in his ways.
Good evening to everyone. Welcome to another edition of Walk in His Ways Impact Voice Podcast. It is November the 1st, 2022. We are already in the 11th month of 2022. This year is gone already. So we hope everybody had a very productive day, of course, on this first day of November. When we thank y'all for tuning in with us. We are live streaming tonight, of course, here on Facebook Live. So you coming in, hit comment, share, like, get the hearts up, get the thumbs up, share with everybody you know. I'm very excited. It is kind of like, it is a family affair. I have my cousin on here with me tonight. She's an author. She has a lot going. She's an author, poet, speaker, doctor, you name it. I'm very proud of her at a young age. Comes a lot of great things at her age. I'm very proud of course. And she took time out her productive schedule to talk about her book. When I first seen that she wrote a book, like, wow, I never knew she'd write a book. But she has a book out, and the book is called The Healing. It's like 15 years in the making. She's gonna talk about the book. How can you get the book? We know the book is going up. People are buying the book, supporting you. I said, I'm very proud of you, of course, and keep up the great work. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience that's watching us right now on Walking This Way Impact Voice Podcast.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me today and inviting me to be on here. I'm Dr. Selena Jackson. I'm a licensed psychologist, but I do that during my daytime life. At night, I love to just sit, write, enjoy myself, get the thoughts out, process feelings, all of those different kind of things. And like you said, my book was kind of my little secret baby I've been nurturing for a little bit of time, and just finally released it out to the world earlier this summer. So I'm super happy to be here to talk about it and answer whatever you want to talk about with it.
Awesome stuff. And like I said, you're doing a lot of great things, of course. Focus, discipline, of course. Like I said, I'm very proud. Even though we have a great family, the Jackson family is a great family. I want to say that. The bloodline is truly blessed. A lot of people in our family is doing a lot of great things. We have a military family, of course. You know that your mom military, of course. I know my dad did military for a little while. His brothers military. Everybody in the family did military, but of course, everybody had done a lot of great things and still doing great things. And I know we got Kenny back, Kenny Primetime Williams back with us tonight. We know he was out last week, but he's back with us this week. I know he's excited. You know why he's back on here tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Because the Cowboys won this past Sunday. And I'm happy the Cowboys won this past Sunday. I watched the game Sunday in the comfort of my living room from first all the way to fourth quarter. That looked good Sunday. The whole team looked good Sunday. The defense looked good. Parsons did his thing on Sunday. But Kenny, go ahead and take away with the latest sports news and updates.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, Mr. Jackson was extremely right. To an extent, I miss everybody out there in Prime Zone land. I am sorry. I've been going through some things. But look, your boy's always going to stay on top. Ladies and gentlemen, you have now. I'm in a car, as you can see, but you're still in the prime zone. You're still in the prime zone. So everybody, welcome. I want to welcome everybody, our special guest tonight. I want to thank you for coming on tonight. I would like to get into this sports segment and just tell y'all how ecstatic I am about this past week's victory over the Chicago Bears. This win was kind of personal for me. I have some blood family, that's from Chicago, went to the game. I'm talking about took caravans, took big trucks, took scooters, all in Chicago Bears gear. Blew up my Facebook, blew up my phone, everything. Even my wife, ladies and gentlemen, can you believe it? Talking trash. I kept quiet. I was like Mr. Jackson. I watched the game in the comfort of my living room in my own home. And I got to admit, ladies and gentlemen, I have never been so proud of my Cowboys than I was this Sunday that passed. And the response after the game, everybody was quiet. Everybody was silent. Couldn't believe it. Not only did we win, but we blew them out in AT&T Stadium. Now, because we got a lot of pressure built up on us. We're really right now just waiting for Philly. We're just waiting for Philly. But let's get into the sports, ladies and gentlemen. I want to give shouts out to Mobile, Alabama, the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Dallas, Texas, my hometown of Greenville, Mississippi, by way of Ocean Springs, Mississippi, where I live here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of sports news that's going on in the sports world. Breaking news, the Brooklyn Nets have fired Steve Nash, let him go, have fired him earlier today. But check this. The former Boston Celtics coach is going to be the new head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know his name. It's a hard name to pronounce. All I know is he was married to actress Nia Long, but he was the Boston Celtics head coach on last year. Took them to their first finals as a head coach. He was suspended this year for allegations of sexual harassment, but now it doesn't matter because he will be the new Brooklyn Nets coach, and I think that's a slap to a face. I think it's a good ordeal. I like Steve Nash. I thought he was a good coach. I just think that the players didn't want to play for him, and I hope that what the new coach coming in, what he inherited is something that he can turn around. Meanwhile, staying in the NBA, the Lakers have won their first game. Hallelujah. LeBron James and Russell Westbrook, along with Anthony Davis, came along with a great victory against the Denver Nuggets. Played in Denver. Russell Westbrook had a great game. And obviously he had a great game because after the game, when they got back to L.A., Russell Westbrook bought a $33 million house across the street from LeBron James. Hey, winning inspires you. You want to be close to a winner? Move next door to him and be his neighbor. Not just be his neighbor in the locker room, but be the neighbor in the neighborhood. I wish I could go to and move across from Deion Sanders prime time. That's my mentor. That's my dog. That's my man. I want to be around a winner. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but I want to be around a winner. Let's move on to the NFL. This past weekend, along with my Cowboys, dominated a lot of games over the league. The Green Bay Packers are still having problems with their offense, their team entirety. They lost again this weekend. Tom Brady, everybody looking at him as the GOAT. Tom Brady has the worst record almost right now in the NFC. We all know Tom Brady's dealing with some personal issues, but still, when you suit up when you put that suit on, you got to get ready to go. So Tampa Bay, Green Bay are not looking pretty good right now, but a lot of people came away with the wins, especially on last night. The Battle of Ohio between the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cleveland Browns came out on top, dominated the whole game, top to bottom. Joe Burrow was on his back majority of the time. I felt sorry for the kid. I got up this morning and said, look, I'm not a fan of Joe Burrow, but I felt sorry for him because I know that he's still in the bed sore this morning. So, ladies and gentlemen, not only that, we're going to move on a little bit to the college ranks. Jackson State University made history this past Saturday as College Game Day pulled into Jackson, Mississippi for the game against Jackson State and Southern Jaguars. It was electric. Stephen A. Smith was in Jackson, Mississippi. They brought all the old alumni out. James Meredith, we know he's a historian. And we just was so, elated to see all that happening in the state of Mississippi, and especially in Jackson, Mississippi. So big ups to the Jackson State University. They also won 35-0 by way of that. So that was greatness for the football team in Jackson. Now, before I leave, I want you to know that the World Series is going on between the Astros and the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm picking the Philadelphia Phillies. I will explain why in my next statement that I'm about to make, because today hits home for me. One of my, I don't know, I know Coach Shea is not on here right now, but I know I'll probably be saying a little different stuff past my segment. But in news today, we lost a great icon rapper, one of a great lyricist, one of the members of the Migos. Takeoff was killed in Houston, Texas on last night or early this morning, and it was a devastating blow. Quavo, another member of the Amigos, was there when it happened. Videos have surfaced the social media area like wildfire. A lot of things have happened, but I do want to come on Walk in His Way podcast, and I would like to send my condolences to the family, send my condolences all the way to the group of Migos, Offset and Quavo. It was a traumatic loss. I think the world was shook up behind that. So big ups to them. But ladies and gentlemen, I love you. Everybody here at Walk in His Ways podcast love you. This is your host, Kenny Primetime Williams. You're in the Prime Zone. Again, I love you. God loves you. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm going to see you till next Tuesday. Look forward to the hearing for the special guest tonight. Mr. Jackson, it's on you, my brother.
Appreciate you, Kenny. Thank you for the latest sports news and updates, of course. And like I said, we know a lot of stuff is going on in our world. We know a lot of things are transpiring, a lot of things transitioning, whatever you want to call it. But most importantly, we just here. We're still here. We're still pressing on. We're still moving forward, of course. And you got to keep moving forward and pressing your way through no matter what. I also want to give a big shout out to the Hernandez family in Houston, Texas. Frankie the Barber and his daughter, Elijah the Barber. I am rocking a t-shirt. It said, tough times don't last, tough people do. And I just wanted to give a shout out to them. I supported their brand, so I'm wearing this shirt here tonight on the podcast, of course. And we know that tough times don't last, but we know tough people do. Even Martin Luther King said, what did Martin Luther King say? I know he said something. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So we got to stand for something. You don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, right? So I'm very excited. I also got a very special co-host with me tonight. DJ, he's here with a very supportive brother. I invited him to hang out with me and Coach Shea and Kenny as well. So he's going to be hanging out with us. I know he got a couple of questions as well for my cousin. Also, I'm very excited to have my cousin on with me tonight. So if you're watching this right now, live stream, put the hashtag Jackson Gang in the comment section. Let us know that you're watching. Very excited to have my cousin on to talk about her book, her many accomplishments, things that what she going to say to you, that it will resonate with your spirit, it will resonate with your mind, that, hey, she could do it, I could do it too. I know she introduced herself to the audience, and she's going to be talking about her book. So very excited about that, the healing. We all know that healing is very important to all of us. We all need healing. And I know you mentioned this book is 15 years in the making. You said it was your secret, it was your beta, something you kept on the back end, but then you finally released it to the world. And now the world know what the healing is all about. They know who Selena is as well. So just take us on this journey. And I just want to ask you this. Did you always wanted to be a writer? Is that something that you wanted to do, or you just something you just walked into?
Mm-hmm. I almost say it's a little bit of both. And I think I was kind of built for it. I think, we have those things that we work on and grow, like your skill, and like you learn how to do. And then you just have stuff that God gives you.
Right.
And that you just are able, like it just fits. And I remember, and it was kind of simple, really. Like I remember watching shows like in middle school, and people on the shows were writing, they were doing poetry, and something about that just clicked with me. Like that was like, I compare it to maybe like little boys who watch football on TV, and it just like kind of clicks with them, and that's what they gravitate to. That's what they're pulled to. they look for that. They see jerseys and all of that kind of stuff. And for me, it was books. It was reading, it was writing. And that was something that over time it grew. Whenever there was like an option to write something versus do something different, that's what I did. Not knowing that it would ever turn into anything like this. It was just something that I was just going to walk into and try out. And as it grew, like it really just became like an outlet for me, just to get feelings out, get what I was thinking out, being able to voice things that sometimes you're not always able when you're younger, like able to actually put words to as different ages, 14, 15, 16, we're still figuring out life. And this was a way to be able to get it out in a way that worked for me.
Man, awesome.
Yeah.
And awesome. And the title, The Healing.
Mm-hmm.
Why that title? Why that name stuck out for you? Out of all any other title, but why The Healing stuck out for you?
Oh yeah, I went through a lot of different titles. I changed it a lot before I landed on that. And I think like when I think of what I wanted people to take away from it, like I wanted them to know that healing comes through all those hardships, that they all work together. Everything works together in some kind of way. And that even in the process, you may not see it. Like if you look in the book, it's broken up into 3 different chapters. So like first chapter is like the breaking, like when we feel that brokenness in ourselves and our spirit. Next chapter is despairing, when you're just like in that hopeless place and you're trying to walk through it. The last chapter is healing. It's like, how do I now make sense of that? And even the cover kind of goes along with that. So like people are like, where did this cover idea came from? I made it myself on Canva. And it's a heart with like branches coming out of it. And it's just showing like life coming out of us, coming out of like issues of the heart. Everything is flowing out of that. And there's healing in that whole process you can walk away with.
And awesome. And I know, did it surprise everybody in the family that you wrote a book? Because it surprised me when I seen it, because I didn't think anything. You don't think anything like, but I also happened to see. I know our cousin Keisha, she wrote a book as well, but I didn't know that you would write a book as well. I just haven't seen it on Facebook. Like, wow, she wrote a book. That's interesting. I like, let me get on the show, talk about this. And I know you mentioned that this is 15 years in the making. So this is like stuff that you went through, stuff that you experienced. How did it all come about? Because you said 15 years, that's a long time to actually put your work out there.
Yeah, so I would say majority of every poem that's like in that book, I wrote it 15 years ago, like in high school. And I like was just in class and we would have downtime and I would, be just kind of thinking about how life was going, things that would go on in that day-to-day piece of life, that high schoolers deal with. And whether it's, relationships, grief, heartbreak, love, trying to make sense of all of those things. And like my faith is something that's really important to me, and trying to like understand what does that look like for me at like 16, going through life stuff that teenagers deal with. And really like I wrote all of that 10th, 11th grade, and then like went to college and life just took a shift from anything that was like creative or fun, really. Because I spent like 10 years in college, just like doing bachelor's degree, master's degree, and then PhD program where you weren't writing anything for fun. It was just like getting stuff done so you could graduate. And it really wasn't until COVID happened that I had that free time to like sit down and think about what else do I want my life to look like? Like, what else am I doing with my life? And then I remembered I had, a friend, I'm going to give her a little shout out, my friend, Brittany Raj, best friend since like kindergarten. She was probably like the only person who knew that I was writing anything besides my like high school teacher back then. And she would always say, like, you should publish this, you should publish this. And I'm like, no one's gonna read this. Nobody's gonna care about this. And then, like, at this point in life, I'm like, it was 15 years ago. Who is gonna want to care about something I wrote 15 years ago? But I really felt like that tug to go ahead and put it out there, go ahead. And I'm like, all right, if it helps one person, it's good enough. And so really, like, that was my project over like 2020, 2021, was putting it together. And then honestly, like, I put it out there on Amazon earlier than I actually told people. Like, it was there like a month or two. I just didn't tell anybody. And then finally I'm like, all right, let me not get in the way of what could be helpful for other people because of my own insecurities. So here we are at this point.
And awesome. And then, like I said, you've been making noise ever since. But you know what? You always being quiet, really. You always was quiet. You mostly stayed to yourself. And it's like you always moved in silence. You didn't make any noise, but you was constantly moving in silence. And like the work you did behind the scenes, it not come to pass to you. And I know you think about healing. We know we got a lot of people that deal with a lot of emotional healing, spiritual healing, you name it. But just when I hear that title that you come to healing, we know that people need to be healed. You know, they go scripture for a while. In the book of James, it says, confess your faults one to another, that you may be healed. You know what I'm saying? So we know that God wants us to be healed in every area of our life. And to be in that place where, and I know the type of work you do, you deal with people all the time, people from different backgrounds, people from different walks of life. We know we hear a lot about mental health now, trauma. It's a book I had read that I got in my library called The Laws of Human Nature. It talks about in the book how a lot of stuff that we dealt with was childhood trauma, stuff that we experienced as children, we were exposed to as children, and we never got the proper help till I guess later on in life when that stuff caught up with us. But that made me think about how people need to be healed. And I know the book been out, it is out, and a lot of people been supporting it. What have really stuck out you with this book? I know this your book wants to help a lot of people, and I know you mentioned it helped one somebody. So what have been responses for the book? How has it been going? I know it's been going well.
It's been going better than I thought it was gonna go. I mean, I've had people, you know, calling my mom saying, why didn't we know that this was even going on? Why didn't we know Selena was writing a book? And there was somebody who read the book and was like, well, I'm actually dealing with grief right now. And like, this is giving me voice for what I'm trying to express to the world. Like, I don't have the words for it, but this is giving me words for it. Had people saying, you know what, I want to read one of these poems at like a funeral that I'm going to, so that the people who are there can find some hope and some healing and have some way to like express that grief. Because I think, I'm gonna go probably a little tangent, I think sometimes, like particularly sometimes in the Black community, we don't talk about emotions very much. We don't process it. It's just kind of be strong and get through it.
Yeah.
Which I think makes sense like as a culture, but that kind of like you were talking about, it creates stuff that lingers sometimes. And that was really part of my goal at this point, putting it out as an adult, is letting people have the words, because sometimes we don't even know how to say how we're feeling, if we're hurting, if we are depressed or sad or anxious or feeling betrayed or whatever. We just kind of couch it as like, I was just feeling some kind of way. And that really doesn't let us actually get it out. And so a lot of people have been giving me that feedback of that they really feel touched, like they really feel like their emotions are getting like pulled out of them and they can actually sit with it. And so I was like, well, praise God, that was my goal then.
And just listening to it, I know a lot of times deal with fear. People have fear and insecurities of letting somebody know what's been bothering them, something that's been haunting them for so long because of fear. Fear of worrying about what people gonna think, what they're gonna say, But it's some real people out here who needs help, you know, in every walks of life. But to really be that listening ear, to really be that space of comfort. And I know a lot of times you don't want to talk to everybody, but you got talebearers out there. Talebearers are the ones who go and tell everything when you can find something with somebody. And I just, when you think about the healing, the impact, the healing, the wholeness. I could be free. I could be liberated. I could actually walk with my head held up high now. I walk with my chest out and standing tall instead of just walking around. Why me? Keep the mask on and still be hurt. You know, people bleed while they bleed, and I'm not talking about on the outside, but inner bleeding on the inside eternally. I know how long it, how many pages is the book as well. I also want to ask you about that.
It's about 60, 63 pages.
Oh, okay. Awesome stuff. And I know, so you have I think I read something about the information you gave me. So there's another book in the works as well, right?
Yes.
So you just knocking them all out you just knocking them out left and right.
Yeah. Did you want me to talk about the new one?
Go ahead. Talk about the, you know, you got the healing. So is this the part 2 to the first one, or this is something totally different?
I almost kind of think of it as like walking through healing and finding your identity as an adult.
Okay, I like that.
Yes. So like the healing itself was my journey as a, you know, young person and that kind of thing. This next one, which I'll tell you the title, is coming out later this month. It's called All Along You Were Becoming. And it's really something about finding your identity, finding the meaning, so that you are not trying to find identity in other people, and you're not trying to become and mold yourself to what other people are wanting you to be, and walking people. It's kind of my own journey a little bit too, because I wrote everything in the last year that's in that book. And so it's my like adult book is how I kind of think of it. And it walks people through that journey of emotional heartbreak and wanting to fix these relationships, waiting on the right thing to come, waiting on what that looks like, and then learning about yourself while you're in isolation with that, and then ultimately becoming a stronger version of you and a healthier version of you, so you can be ready to step into whatever that next season is for yourself. And so I'm super, super excited for it to come out. I have been working on the edits a lot, and it's almost there. And so I would say it'll be out before Thanksgiving for sure.
Okay, awesome. And you know, that's something that's just really just confirmation, identity, just knowing who you are. And I'm looking from a man's perspective. For me, I look at the last name Jackson. You know, I'm named after my dad. You know that, and you know what I'm saying. And I didn't realize the pressure that my dad put on me as me being the oldest son and named after him. I didn't understand that when I was little, but when I got older, I know I had to take his name and my identity to the next level. So one, I had to learn to constantly to evolve as a man, because we come to evolving every day, because what we did yesterday, we're doing something completely different today. So we got to constantly evolve. I know some people stop evolving, but I do believe in involvement. I do believe in identity, knowing who you are. Once you know who you are, I do believe that everything starts falling in place for us once we learn who we are. You know, instead of being tossed to and fro, okay, you supposed to be this, you supposed to be that. But have we really came in tune with ourselves? Have we really got a chance to know ourselves? You know, I thank God for our parents, you know what I'm saying? A lot of things they talk about, something they did, but as we got older, you start seeing a lot. Then I know with you being, you know, a doctor, you college graduate, and I know with you being on campus, you come across all different types of people: Buddhism, atheist, Muslim, Christian, conservative, Republican, Democrat, independent. you name it. But how did as you and your faith and you as a person, how did you adapt to that culture? Because when you're in college, you around all different types of people, different backgrounds. You got professors who are atheists, you got moody, you know what I'm saying? You got all these different beliefs, but how did you adapt to all that when you was in college? Different for people here, different walks of life.
Yeah. I think for me, it was being able to be comfortable around people who were different from me without
Okay.
that pulling me into something that didn't fit my values or my beliefs. It's like we can exist in the same space. I can be friends with you, we can respect each other, and I can ask you about your background, learn from your background, hope that you're willing to, hear about mine and have a healthy boundary with it. I think it helped a lot. I had a lot of friends who were pretty similar to me as far as like our faith. Like we're Christian, we did our own thing. We had our friends at school and we still kind of kept that where we were in a healthy space. And I think just navigating and being and maturing in that we can have hard conversations and not fall apart and not fall out and not blast each other on social media and all of those things. And it's really a mindset. It's a mindset. And I think it helps the more you're exposed to other people and not living in a bubble. And that helps you like shift in and out of different spaces and not lose yourself or become like a chameleon trying to just be whoever you're around, because then you lose that identity. You don't know who you are at the end of the day. And then you just end up really frustrated. And I'm not going to say I was perfect at it by any means. There were definitely times where I'm like, okay, well, this crowd kind of does this. How do I fit over here? How do I try to like make friends here? They're a little bit different from me. And I remember leaving those interactions just unhappy, just like, this isn't working. I can't make them like me. I can't make them let me into their like inner circle and stuff like that. And when I shifted my mindset, probably like my senior year of college, had to shift it and just be like, you know what? I'm me. This is my personality. Sometimes I'm quiet. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm introverted. Sometimes I'm not. I have my space of people I can be really outgoing with. Sometimes I'm more reserved. I read the room first. And I think you have to learn to like you first and like your identity and get comfortable with that. And then you can move in other spaces. But if you don't even like you, it's hard for other people to like you because you're trying to fit everything else that people expect you to be. And you can't be everything for everybody.
You said something on that, fam. You really did say something important on that. Start with us. It starts with us first. Loving yourself, knowing yourself. I'm 40 years old now. Do you know it took me at 40 to understand that now? I'm just saying because everything start with self first. You got a lot of YouTubers. You got these creators now. They telling guys, get your money right to get the woman, get your body right to get the woman, do all this stuff to get people's attention, but you lose yourself in the process. I work out for me because one, I want to be healthy. Everything starts with me first. If I want nice clothes, I do it for myself. I want the right body, I do it for myself. I want my money right, I do it for myself. Everything starts with self first, knowing who you are. The book that I read called The Art of Living by Bob Proctor, he said, when you become interested, people are drawn to interesting people. If you're interested, it draws people in. If you just one track minded, closed mind, that's another book I've been reading too. Yeah. The difference between being open minded and closed minded. A lot of times we be so closed minded that we block out everything else. But once we become open minded, we can learn a lot of different stuff. Okay, I can learn that. I can apply that to my life. This I don't want to apply, just throw that out. But you just hit the nail on the coffin with that, knowing yourself. And I'm gonna ask you that too, cuz as well. in your profession, I know what you do. So you teach people how to know themselves. Because a lot of times we do stuff to please people, like social media, for example. We do stuff to get likes. We do stuff to get this people attention. But then soon, nobody don't like a comment. Soon, somebody don't support us. We get upset and we get butthurt and we want to cry. But we lose our own identity in the process because we try to please people. So in your line of work, so you teach people how to learn themselves, correct? If I'm right on that?
Yeah.
So how is your method of doing that? What is your blueprint on that to help people learn themselves? Because we're in a time now where people now are starting to learn themselves. You have mentors out there that teaching men and women how to know themselves first. Because we want to try to dress this up on the outside, but we still hurting on the inside. We didn't got the inside right yet. You put on the nice clothes, you still hurt on the inside. You go get the nicest car, you still hurt on the inside. You get all the money you want, you still gonna be hurt on the inside. But how do you help your clients to see where they need to see, where they need to go? Matter of fact, take us to the basics. First thing first. How do you do it in your line of work?
Yeah, I would say for someone to know themselves, like I have people who come in all the time. They're like, I don't feel like I know myself. I don't feel like I have purpose in life. I don't feel like life has a lot of meaning, or I can't connect to people. And usually I always start with, what do you think about yourself? Like, how do you see yourself when you walk into a room? What is your mindset about who you are? Because that in and of itself will tell us a lot about how a person is thinking and feeling. And I really challenge them. I'm like, be honest. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't give me the right therapy answer for it. Like your knee-jerk reaction of when you wake up and you look in the mirror, what do you think about yourself? What voices are going through your head? What are those thoughts? How do you feel when you're in a space? Do you feel like you need to try to fit and do all of those things? And once they have to sit with some of that discomfort of really like taking off the mask and looking behind, how we, like you said, pretty up the outside of it. And then I'm like, all right, now let's talk about you. Who are you? Like, let's meet you first. Right. And, it could be, and I tend to be pretty blunt as a therapist. I'm quiet with family, but I'm pretty blunt as a therapist. And I'm like, are you an interesting person? Like, let's just be real about this. Do you have hobbies? Do you have anything to carry a conversation? Do you feel like you have anything in your identity that's not something other people put in? Like if someone's an athlete, who are you besides a football player? Like if they're in music, who are you besides a singer? Like that's a title. We don't necessarily need that because you could get injured. You could have like voice issues or something like that. Who's left? Do you like who's left when you take away all that extra stuff? And so then we do the deep work of almost creating an identity that they feel like works for them. And I push them and challenge them, like, learning to love yourself is hard if you've never been shown how to do it, or you didn't grow up in a place where you got validated for who you were. And so teaching them how to validate themselves can be really, really hard. I am smart. I do bring this to the table. I do, have some knowledge on these kind of things. I'm not a terrible, boring person. And really changing that language on how they talk about themselves. Because once that changes, everything else follows with it.
In other words, get them from what I learned, get out the I do and get into the I am.
Yes.
I am success. I am successful. I am a conqueror. I am this. I am that. And So knowing your identity, Having a mission statement, that's something I learned too as well, Selena. Learn how to have a mission statement for your life. Different organizations have mission statement, knowing you have your own laws and have your own value. This stuff that we're learning. You know what I call this one too, Selena? I call this when Jesus said we must be born again.
Mm-hmm.
I call this a born again experience.
Mm-hmm.
I call this a restart over in
Yep.
life. Even no matter where you at in life, you know, Nicodemus was thinking you must have to go into your mother's womb again, but he wasn't talking on the physical, he was talking on the spiritual aspect. Christ don't deal with the physical, he deal with the spiritual, he deal with the internal on the inside. So we have to know ourselves, we have to relearn a lot of stuff. And I tell people all the time, if you want these teachings, you want this lifestyle teaching, you're gonna have to put your money up for it. And nothing's not free. I mean, people do it for free, but people used to do it for free, but people didn't really take it seriously. But now people put a price on it. But if it's something you really want to learn, put your money up. I tell people all the time, if you working a job and they give you extra hours, take the extra overtime money, put it to the side, invest in you.
Yep.
Invest in different classes. If you want to learn different, just start with a little basic. If you never cooked before, take cooking classes. Just start somewhere.
Yes.
Just restart your life all over again. It's not too late. Christ said, "Work wise day when it's night, when no man shall work." So when it's night for us, that's gonna be it. But while it's day, work while it's day. Get it together right now. Why it is still day for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Start your life over again. It's not too late to start your life over again. What you did yesterday is yesterday. Have you read the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho? Not familiar with the book? Okay. You remember the old saying, you know how we used to say this, I'm looking forward to the future?
Mm-hmm.
How we used to say that? But in the book, The Alchemist says, in the book of The Alchemist, it says, don't worry about the future. It said, if you correct your present, the future will be taken care of. In other words, if you still got that poor me, you still got that why me mentality, you just gonna repeat the same thing in the future. Ain't nothing changed. So correct the present, correct right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then your future will gonna take care of itself. It's like we said in Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, what's gonna happen? All these things is gonna be what added to you. So we have to get this right. We have to get this right. And I'm gonna ask you this, since you're a doctor and you're in this profession, is it different activities you put in place for your clients that they can start working on? But you got to put in the work. No, we can talk all day. You got to put it in work. So what methods, your blueprint, what do you put in place for your clients? Start with the basics, first thing first. So what activities will you implement for those who listen to us right now on the podcast?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I usually try to find like kind of what fits their personality too, because everybody's a little bit different on what they like to do. My general things is I have them start journaling, like literally pen and paper. I'm like, put the phone down. It's easy to get distracted with that. Write down how you actually feel. Put it on paper. Read it again. Look at it. Talk about how that made you feel, to write it down. You know, we talk about doing the work on yourself. I sit down and I'm like, all right, let's talk about some goals. Like, what do you want life to look like at a certain point in time? Like, let's get specific, because like we can have a vision for ourselves. And then now let's take some short-term and long-term goals. And I'm like, let's make them realistic. So like short-term is like the next 5 days. What is some things that you can be doing? Let's get the time frame right. Long-term, we can think, 3 to 4 months, and all of that with that long-term like vision in mind for yourself. And once you have an idea of what do I want my life to look like, okay, what are small steps you can start doing to move yourself towards that don't get in the way of you getting there? Because sometimes we have habits that get in the way of us moving forward.
True.
It's like, all right, how can we start moving away from the stuff that really doesn't fit anymore? Like maybe it used to fit for you. Maybe, you know, blowing people off used to work because that protected you, but then that closed you off. And then you never really got past that to form deeper connections. So let's be intentional about, we're not blowing people off, but we now need to work on how do you communicate to other people? What do you say when you open your mouth? What are some helpful things to do? You know, statements where you're just talking about the facts of a situation that, you know, maybe was a conflict, but you're leaving out the blame for it. And over time, shifting that to have that healthier mindset, and you're moving yourself towards that goal of, you know, less anxiety, less depression, more confidence in yourself. But it's little by little. I'm like, I'm not trying to expect that you're going to make a huge leap and a huge change, because we didn't get here overnight. It's not going to fix overnight.
Right.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Most definitely it's not. It's an ongoing process. That's why we constantly involved. You know, another thing I learned too, learn to look up different words. You know, learn different, because we've been so, and this is what we do. We believe every little word that everybody told us, but we never looked at the definition of the words. Start looking these words out. Learn the definition of these words. You would go like, oh wow, I've been saying this stuff for so long the wrong way. It don't mean what everybody said it means. It means totally different opposite. I seen this quote the other day. It says formal education will get you a certain, will give you help you with a living, but self-education will bring you a fortune. I like that. That self-education will bring you a fortune. So people now are self-educating themselves. And we got a lot of great information on the internet, some good, some not good, some is great, some not great. But it's a lot of great information out there that you have to take and apply to your life. Mentors. I know there are people starting to get mentors now. No, mentors been around for centuries. Now people start giving mentors. Let's talk about mentorship. What are your views? Where do you stand on mentorship? Do you encourage people to get mentors, but get the right mentor? You got some mentors who ain't all that good for real.
Right.
So how do you handle the whole mentor? Or are you a mentor? Do you mentor people yourself? Also, I'm going to ask you that.
Yeah, I mean, I think healthy mentorship is a big thing. You know, I heard somewhere recently, you know, someone is a mentor, one, when they're willing to tell you the hard truth in love, and it's in a way that keeps you moving forward and it's not breaking you down.
Right.
Because, you know, I was on that thing of, oh, I need a mentor. I see friends who have like a spiritual mentor or like a career mentor or something like that. And I'm like, oh, I don't have one. I need to go find one. And I went through a couple of different people until I finally got to a person that I feel like is a healthy spiritual mentor, where she is able to challenge me, call me out on my stuff, and do it in a way that I walk away, you know, thinking about our conversation, and then I can come back and be like, all right, yeah, you were right. I knew I needed to sit with this. I needed to move myself, you know, into a better headspace to accept some of the things that you were saying. And I think sometimes it's trial and error to find a mentor. And sometimes you just find the wrong one, and it's okay to not stay with that person. I think we can get stuck out of loyalty. Like if you're staying with somebody because you don't want them to feel bad, or because you feel guilty, or you're worried what might happen, or they're just a bad fit, like that's probably not the best place to be. As for myself, I don't have anybody that I'm necessarily like formally mentoring. I train a lot of mental health professionals though in my current job. And so I oversee right now probably about 10 to 15 different graduate students that are learning how to do mental health counseling and all of that. And so I consider that kind of my own form of mentoring and helping them like career path and just be a better therapist. But I think mentorship is helpful because we don't know everything. Like we need people that have done something or they're a few steps ahead of us. Like you don't need to like fully copy that person. But like you mentioned earlier, our cousin Keisha that wrote her book a few years ago, that was almost mentoring to me because I was like, okay, someone in our family wrote a book and put it out there.
Yeah.
So it's not foreign.
Right.
So you never really know who's watching, even if they don't say that they're watching.
That's true. And like I said, just take what you, well, I say you teach people, but at the same time, you want them to be themselves at the same time. Like, don't be me, be you. Even though I'm giving you great information, I'm giving you great dialogue, still be you. It's like that blacksmith. It's like you lay all this wealth of knowledge on the table. You take it to your blacksmith. Your blacksmith is one custom made just for you so you can apply it to your arsenal. So that's how I look at it. So you take this great information, you take it and you apply it. You fit it where it fit your arsenal. Still be you, but take this great information and apply it. Another thing I want to talk about, you in the mental health field. Did you always want to be in the mental health field growing up, or how did that all come about? How do you get that itch to be in the mental health field?
I always say I fell into it. I don't think I ever like really thought out like, yes, I want to be a psychologist when I grow up. No, I had no idea. I went to undergrad like a lot of people from my high school because that's what the next step was you went to college. At the school that I was at, I went there. I didn't even have a major. I didn't declare a major until my second year there. And I picked psychology just because I thought it was cool. Like literally there was not a lot of thought in it. And I would say what the mindset I had was, I know what I can do and I'm willing to learn the stuff that I don't know anything about. And so there would be like professors who would say, you know, they needed volunteers for something, they needed some extra help with something, and I just volunteered for it. And at one point I thought about switching and going to nursing because I was like volunteering at USA Women's and Children's for a little bit. And I thought about shifting it, but I was like in my junior year and I would have had to start all over with a lot of my like gen ed classes. And I said, well, I'm not trying to spend extra time in school. I'm gonna stay with what I got. And then professors were saying, you know, hey, you should think about grad school. You should think about, you know, keep furthering your education and that kind of thing. I'm gonna tell you, I didn't know what grad school was. Like I legit did not even know what it was. I was just somebody who was open to people's feedback for it. And they were like, you should look into it. I had a faculty person who helped me get set up to like go to this program that like prepped students for applying to grad school. Cause I was like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do to get there. And then it rolled into like, I got into the program and like on day one, when I showed up there, I still really wasn't even sure what I was doing. And I was like, well, thank God I like therapy because here I am. And I say I felt into it because I never really had a full plan for where I would end up now. I had no idea. But I look back at it at this point and see all the doors that just opened and God walked me through and showed me this next person and I met this next person. And so I tell people, you may not have a plan for what your life is going to look like 10 years down the road, but take the opportunities that people offer you that better you, that build you up, that help you grow, and then see where it leads you because you never know. Don't just turn down things because it seems like, oh, that's too much work, or I'm not the kind of person that can do that. Or I'm like, I don't know anybody in our family, at least I didn't back then, who had even gone to grad school. I didn't know anyone who had did that, but I was like, well, I guess I'll go to grad school and see what happens. So I think just being willing to do it, and it makes your career, and you learn along the way. Like I got a lot more knowledge now than I ever did at 17 going to campus for the first time. and I have a better idea of how to guide my life at this point. But sometimes you just walk it out and you just lead into it. You go with what you find interesting and see where it takes you.
Yeah, because I say I know our family is military. Everybody in the family military, of course, you know that. So actually, you're the first doctor in the family, correct? Are you the third? You the third person that I know of?
Top of my head, but I feel like I'm not at this point, but I'm not sure. Maybe in our branch.
Okay, okay. Now,
Yeah.
I just want to know that, but like I said, you the first one because this is interesting. I know you mentioned some about anxiety. We know a lot of people did with anxiety. We know we all done that before. How do we master anxiety? How we take control of it? Don't let anxiety control us. So I learned now, Selena, I'm learning to take control of my life, not to be controlled by my emotion, not be controlled by my feelings, not be controlled what other people may think of me or what, break away from that bondage. We want to be free. Because the Bible said, whom the Son set free is free indeed. Everybody should want to be free. So how do you teach people how to master anxiety?
Yeah. I have a saying I like to tell people is feel the fear and do it anyway. Do it anyway. Do it scared. Do it afraid. But keep yourself moving forward, because if not, and you like when you avoid, it keeps you stuck. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you comfortable. Lean into that discomfort. Have people that can help hold you accountable that you trust to lean into it. Challenge yourself, talk yourself through this, catching those thoughts that take you into that anxiety spiral of, I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I here? I'm not even supposed to be here. That imposter syndrome, all of that kind of stuff. And you got to catch those thoughts because they will spiral into anxiety, panic attacks, depression, suicidal thoughts, all of those things. And it's hard. Like, I don't want it to seem like that's just an easy fix. It's a process. Like, I definitely struggle with anxiety in a lot of different ways. I think, being the person in the family that made the good grades and had all this kind of stuff going on with college and everything. And you have a lot of people's expectations on you of, oh, well, you don't make B's. Oh, you always are top of the class. And I'm like, no, I stay up all night. I stress myself out. I don't sleep. I live off of coffee. And I keep things to myself because people will judge if you're not perfect and all of those things. And it creates this really unhealthy place of mental bondage where you're not free to just be you. And I think it comes along with, again, like I said earlier, learning to like you to the point where it doesn't matter if other people like you or not, because you like you. Right. And not in that, like, I don't care what people think kind of thing. I'm gonna be me and all of this other stuff. I'm like, no. That's a wall. That's a defense. Feeling maybe defensive sometimes in our tone, how we talk about that.
Yeah.
But like when you can truly say, these are the things I like about me. I like for me, I'm like, you know what? I like that I'm kind of quiet sometimes because it gives me space to check in with other people. And I like now that I have found my own voice, so I can have boundaries and push back when people are trying to like put all of their assumptions on me or whatever that they want. And so when we think about walking through anxiety, it's really that place of how do I bring down like physically how I'm feeling. Like if my heart is racing and I feel like I'm going to hyperventilate, like let's get some skills, some like breathing exercises, some way to ground yourself. And then let's talk about what you're telling yourself in those moments. So there's a lot to it. I encourage people. I'm like, we can't always fix ourselves. Like if you're not a mechanic, you can't always fix your car. You can fiddle around with it and maybe make it worse. But at some point, it's time to take it into somebody who can actually help walk you through that. So I don't want people to feel like, well, they need to now like try to fix themselves by themselves, because that's just an unrealistic thing.
Yeah, because we don't know everything.
Exactly.
That's why you go to different people that's skilled, that's already in that area to know what they're doing. And that's how you're supposed to do. And you know what? It don't make you less of a person. A lot of times people have
Mm-mm.
that pride in a way. They pride and ego. Like let your pride go, let your ego go, humble yourself and
Mhm.
learn. The Bible said, if you humble yourself, he'll exalt you. He'll exalt the humble. So if you're humble, he's going to exalt you. So it's not wrong with learning from different people. We all gonna learn something from somebody, some form of
Mhm.
fashion. You're gonna learn something from somebody. That would come from being open-minded. That's what I talk about the expectations. A lot of times in family had high expectations of you. You know, they always gonna have an expectation. They expect nothing less. They
Mhm.
expect more. How would you handle that the expectations of okay, they want me to be here. I gotta do this, I gotta do that, but the expectations, how did you handle all that? The expectations of okay, you know
Mhm.
what, I am gonna succeed, I am gonna conquer everything. How did you handle it in your own strength?
I had to define what success meant for me and
Mm-hmm.
not everybody else, because I remember there was a point in grad school where I had this just like moment of I'm doing something none of them have done before. None of them have been in the spaces that I'm in. None of them have dealt with the like academic pressure that I'm dealing with. And I had to sit at this place where I remember sitting there and going, you know what? My good enough is actually good enough. That like I am actually doing good enough. It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm not going to completely slack off either. Am I good enough is actually good enough. And once I had that mindset, it made it a lot easier to deal with people's expectations, because I'm like, that's your expectation. You're not in the room with me. You're not in, my room when I'm up at 3 a.m. studying, sleeping for 3 hours, and back up the next day, hitting the ground, needing to show up fully professional and all of that kind of stuff. My good enough is actually good enough here. And that changed everything for that.
And also, and you know what? And you have to, in order to get somewhere in life, you're gonna have to make the sacrifices in order to get
Mm-hmm.
where you want. You know, you made the ultimate sacrifice to get where you want in life because you had that willing mind to conquer what you want to do. And I applaud you for that because I know I probably won't be able to do it, but everybody have different paths to take in life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about once again finding your place, finding
Yes.
where you want to go. And you take that path and don't worry about what people are gonna think or worry about what people say about you. You know where you're going, you know who you are, so you're going in that direction. You know where you want to go, you know what you're doing, and you hit the direction. And that's a blessing all by itself. Finding yourself, finding who you
Mm-hmm.
are, get into that place. Because I believe our life, we can make life great. I do believe that. Life don't have to be suck. Life don't have to be victimized. Don't have to be that poor me. We gotta get that poor me mentality. You know, don't be a victim, but
Yeah.
go from being a victim to a victor. And
Yep.
having that victim, have that not a victim mentality, but have a victorious mentality in life. You know, you gotta and celebrate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrate yourself. You know, even the Bible said David had to encourage himself in the
Yep.
Lord. So don't look for everybody to encourage. You have to encourage yourself. And like you mentioned earlier, Selena, when you by yourself, you look yourself in the mirror, you by yourself. So it's just you versus you
Mm-hmm.
seeing you. So you have to tell yourself, you know what, we're gonna do this. No
Mm-hmm.
matter what, no matter hell or high war, we're gonna do this. We're gonna make it. You have to
Yep.
tell yourself that no matter who watching, who not watching,
Yep.
you doing this for you. That's the beautiful thing about it. That's what it sums up tonight. You doing this for you, and you
Mm-hmm.
celebrate you in the process. So once again, Selena, I know we're pressing for time. Go once again, plug your book. How can people get the book? I know people are buying the book. They've been sharing. I'm going to buy the book as well because I am to support you. Because we are a family, and I'm going to support you.
Well, thank
So
you.
no problem. So go ahead, plug the book. How can people get the book? And matter of fact, I'm gonna do that tonight. I'm gonna order the book myself tonight as well. So go ahead.
Yeah. You can find the book. It is on Amazon.com. Type in The Healing Poems by Selena Jackson. It should pop right up. I got a copy of it here. Looks just like this, heart with some vines and growth coming out of it. And so it is there. I'll do a little plug for my next book. It's coming out this month too. It has a completely different cover I'm super excited for. But yes, you can find my book on Amazon.com.
Awesome. And like I said, I will be ordering that book on Amazon. I'm gonna support you and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to reading it. I'm looking forward to the second book. And by the way, those that's listening to us tonight, we thank everybody in the comment section for coming. We thank everybody for getting the hearts up, the thumbs up. And we know we're now monetized here on Facebook as well. So if you're watching the Facebook Live, you're gonna see support Walking This Way, Impact Voice. Click that star. You click that star, of course. I get paid for doing the podcast, or every time I go live stream. So hit that star, get the likes up, get those thumbs up, whatever, get the comments up. We're gonna be back here tomorrow night here on Walking This Way Impact Voice Podcast. And by the way, I want Dee to go ahead and introduce yourself. Go ahead and unmute yourself, brother. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience here on Walking This Way Impact Voice Podcast.
How y'all doing? Good evening, y'all. My name is Daquan Jones with Antaros Communications. If I could make a point, this was very informative. I'm really happy I made this podcast because y'all are right when y'all say it's not enough communication in our community about pain, and to be able to chronicle pain, triumphs, and just life that can change somebody's life, and they don't have to feel like they're starting over, because you don't always get the support you need. You don't always have mentors. So to have a chronicle of that is so needed, to help find the identity. Like as you say, if you can't love you until you get to that point, but there's going to be pain in between. But it'd be easier if you had a chronicle of it, somebody else's pain, a story to read. So I just want to say thank you for all of this information. And I'm definitely purchasing that book as soon as this is done.
And awesome stuff. And you know what? I just thought about something. I seen this post today, and it was dealing with male and female, whatever you want to call it. On the post, it said, "How can a man be honest with a woman?" You know, my response was, if he can't be honest with himself, he ain't gonna be honest to a woman. Everything starts with self first. If I can't be honest with Furman, I can't be honest with Maurice. Maurice is my middle name. That's what everybody, my family calls Maurice. If I can't be honest with Furman Maurice Jackson Jr., I can't be honest with nobody else. Everything starts with self first. That's another thing I talk about too, accountability, being accountable for our own actions. You know, we're in a generation now, and I know, Sling, you see this a lot. I know, D, you see this a lot. People point the fingers at everybody. It's always everybody else's fault. It's your fault I'm not successful. It's your fault I didn't succeed. It's your fault that I'm broke. It's your fault this and that. But what about accountability? Taking accountability for your own actions. So you know what? I messed up. Yeah, I made that decision. At that time, I thought it was the right decision. It was the wrong decision. Yes, I reaped the harvest of it. Yes, I learned from it. I very seldom hear people take accountability for their own actions. It's very small. It's not a big, it's very small. You may hear, you know what? I messed up. I took that L. So be accountable. You know what I'm saying? Love yourself. You know, if you can't be honest if you're not honest with yourself, you're not gonna be honest with nobody else. That's just my opinion. So it's because if you lie to yourself, you're gonna lie to everybody else. So be honest, work on yourself. There's nothing wrong with working on yourself. But I want to get my guests here. So Selena, you have any final remarks you want to leave with the audience? Because it's gonna be on our YouTube channel or Walking This Way Impact Voice Podcast. So what final remarks you want to lead to that individual who's gonna listen to this now? And of course, in the near future.
I mean, I would just, to sum up the whole conversation we had, learning to love yourself, learning to be comfortable with yourself and happy with yourself is worth every tear, worth every piece of pain, worth every like turning that light on those dark corners you like to hide from yourself that really still exist. It's worth it. It's worth it to heal and get to the other side. So I just want to encourage everybody. There is another side to it. I hope you get there. I pray that you do and enjoy walking in it. So, and thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. And the advertising and all that support.
You're welcome. I appreciate you taking time. I don't say busy because somebody correct me on that. Never say busy, productive. So you took time out your productive schedule to be on here with your cousin. I appreciate that. And keep up the great work, cuz I'm proud of you. I know the family proud of you as well. Keep doing great things. I know you're going to do great things because it's in you. And like I said, you heard the old saying, we about to get off the air tonight. Remember the graveyard. Everybody had one thing in common. They thought they had tomorrow and they didn't see tomorrow. So remember, live life like it's your last. And by the way, we are in the 11th month of 2022. What have you been doing for these 11 months? Is you still at January 1st and still at the same mindset? If you still in those emotions, if you have not accomplished anything, it's not nobody else's fault but yours. Think about that. I'm gonna share this story. My old supervisor at my old job before I moved to Dallas shared this story with, and it made a lot of sense. It was these two guys. They had both of them had the same opportunity. One took advantage of the opportunity. The one didn't even take the care less about the opportunity. The one that took advantage of the opportunity went succeeded in life. The other one didn't take it serious, but was mad at the other guy because the other guy took the opportunity serious. Remind you, both of them came from the same background. Both had the same opportunity. One just took advantage of the opportunity and succeeded in life. The other one didn't care. So just thinking about that. God gave us great opportunity. You take advantage of the opportunity He's giving you. Don't get mad at that person because that person took advantage of that opportunity. You have the same ability to do it. You can do it. Don't say this person held me back. Nah, it's you. We hold our own selves back. Life is beautiful. You don't have to be a victim. You could be a winner. It's up to you. Remember, we're the 11th month. We get excited December 31st, January 4th, we get excited. Oh, this is my year. This is my year. That's emotions. And once them emotions gone, reality set back in. And you're right back in that same state of mind. The ball is in your court. It's in your court. Don't look to your left. Don't look to your right. Look at you. When you go in, when you be the first person, when you look in the mirror, who you see? You, us. We don't see nobody else. But that individual, that enemy, when they say the enemy is in me because the enemy is in me because I have to defeat myself. I have to master myself. You know, I heard this quote, a king masters himself first before he masters anything else. If I can't master me first, I can't master anything else. But I want y'all to think about that tonight. I want y'all to have a great night. We'll be back here tomorrow night here on Walking His Ways Impact Voice Podcast. Big shout out to the fam of Kenny, Anna C, Coach Shay. Big shout out to DJ for hanging out with me tonight. Big shout out to my cousin as well for hanging out with me tonight. Great information, great dialogue. Remember, get her book, The Healing. It is on Amazon. I will be getting the book. I want to read it. It's going to be in my library. I want to read it. And of course, I'm going to highlight some of that stuff in your book too, because some stuff going to stick out to me. I'm going to highlight that book. Look, I'm just going to be honest with you. So, man, y'all have a great night. Please, and by the way, before you go to bed tonight, take your favorite drink, whatever you drink, toast yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. Tell yourself we're going to win. Tell yourself we're going to succeed. Tell yourself we're going to conquer. Tell yourself we're going to make it. Tell yourself I love you. Tell yourself I got your back. Tell yourself that we going to take it to the next level. Tell yourself these things. Encourage yourself. The Bible said death and life is in the power of the tongue to eat the fruit thereof. What is you speaking? Is you speaking life or are you speaking death for yourself? We want you to win. I want you to win. I want you to succeed in life. I want you to make it. Don't worry about what people say about you. Don't worry about what they think about you. Don't matter what you messed up in your past. The past is the past. That's what it means. The past is gone. It's behind you. Look in your present. Correct your present. And watch what God is going to do for your life. Now have a great night, everybody. Peace.